Welcome back to more Phoenix Wright Justice For All. In the last episode, we learned some pretty interesting things, and so... Wait, what? I just saw Matt had to kill Juan whenever he... And we got the music, and we got the Stuff Just Got Real music. Oh. Well, I am the logical type. Logical? I don't think you know what that word means. Nervous than a scared rabbit. If there are no objections, I could feel I can pass the verdict based on this testimony. Now then, Mr. Wright, if you please. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the upside end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight onto this and turn her logic upside down. Let's do this. Hold it. Shut up. No, keep talking, I think. Would you say that your intuition was speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Ah, she caught on to our trick. If you want to prove that someone else did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things are enough, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. Yes, but you've been through, how many trials now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is his 9th trial. Holy crap. I think he should know that by now, considering how crazy his trials are. So would you say this knee came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt and Garde. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Ngarde himself didn't know anything about a press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that the information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Now shut up. What do you think his motive was, then? Has Mr. Ngarde done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corredia with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Ngarde, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Ngarde, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Ngarde was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Ngarde? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. I thought she was going to say he's glaring at you, smart ass. That reminds me of the time when, a few of my friends of mine, this was in 8th grade, and they were singing a song about weed, and my middle school was very, very strict. And, they had to come up with stories, because the principal got them at separate times, and they came up with the exact same story, and they never even went over anything. I wasn't there at the time. I was doing something else, but they came up with the exact same cover story. It was amazing. Oh my god. Hey, moving on. That button was found in the pants of Matt's Hamako, isn't that correct? I would think that it makes very decisive evidence. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. We can't accept our defeat, goddammit! Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you are not. Man, I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? Oh, I know this. I'm pretty sure it's the crime photo. I think, because I remember something about this. It's weird. Nope, apparently not. This is why we have save states, people. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Engarde at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corradia planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Engarde as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. Oh my god. And please, stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really, because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm going to pin you down. I'm going to pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. That doesn't sound weird at all. Was torn off. I swear that it has to be something with that knife. Or the button, really. I mean, it's a little weird. Not that. I mean, because the knife is exactly where the button is. So you would expect the button to be in the frickin' thing. And where the knife, broken in half is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. This is going to take a very lot of thought. See, this is why you shouldn't suck, kids. I guess I should just start pressing again. So nothing there, of course. Oh, we just went through this. I mean, why would you think Matt was the murderer? Grr. Why is she giving me such a hard time? Okay, come on. Let's see. Nope. I'm just giving desperate objections right now. Will the autopsy report finally be useful? Yes! This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife was to stab the victim. The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. Can I read a sentence for once? And what does that mean? Let's examine this evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means It is impossible that this button was turned off during this victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ugh. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body. Order! What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean that you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it? Seriously, easy. There is only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. Ingarde. There is no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Ingarde was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is? Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned the frame, Mr. Ingarde, is...